Wittgenstein, the end of his life, he didn't speak because he didn't believe that language. He was a philosopher of language, but he didn't believe that language really, that you could say anything true in language. The problem is language. The problem is communication.
It's always assumed, for some reason, that not agreeing means not understanding. No, the problem isn't communication. The problem is unjustified belief. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. The best arguments for the existence of a god actually address the reasons why people find belief rather difficult. This is not one of those arguments.
Rumi, one of my favorite stories of Rumi is the three. There's an Arab, a Persian, and a Roman. They're traveling together on a road, and they've come across this dirham, and they all grab it at the same time. And so the Arab says, "Inab, we have to buy inab with it." And the Persian says, no, we buy angur. And then the Roman, he says, no, we're going to buy venitas. And they're all words for grape. So they start fighting each other. And his comment is that all that was needed was a good translator.
And if that were the case with regard to God belief, this story might be relevant. But it's not. Again, the problem is not that we aren't understanding each other. Even if a little bit gets lost in translation, the basic idea is getting through, and I guarantee you that we really don't agree with your premise.
Part of the problem is language. One of the things that they point out here that I really believe in is that when people say, I don't believe in God, Muslims should say, well, what's your definition of God? Because I might not believe in that God either. A lot of people don't believe in an unbelievable God. That's true.
But it's not that we don't believe in a specific God. The very concept is what has not been accepted. When it's really examined, this video assumes that everybody believes in a God of some sort or another. It just comes down to which. The idea that someone starts from zero belief isn't even considered, but that's where some of us are. Each claim of a God's existence must be proved, or we continue in our non-belief, only interrupted by yet another God claim that must be considered on its own merits.
There's a book called Why God Will Not Go Away, and this is a neurobiology of belief. People are wired to believe.
Let's suppose for a moment that's true. And belief and reality are not the same thing. Belief often gets people in trouble because their beliefs were wrong. Trying to use this as an argument for God's existence is not a viable tactic. It says something about humanity, not divinity.
Unfortunately, you get caught in these kind of mind games, and I think ultimately, for me, it was a car accident. Sometimes it just takes really powerful shocks to wake people up out of that type of slumber.
Frankly, I think it's the other way around. Those kinds of shocks bring people to fantasy rather than reality. It's an emotional experience, not a reasoned conclusion.
Sheikh Saeed Ramadan al-Bulti in Kubra Yaqiniyat al-Kawniyya says that for the Muslims, the atheist is a sign of God. Just the fact that somebody can deny God in this world is a proof, not only of God, but that He's merciful and compassionate.
Whenever someone starts making claims like this, or the ever-popular everybody knows God exists, atheists just reject Him, I can't help but wondering where their reasoning comes from. I have a hard time believing they came to it honestly. It always sounds as though it was born out of the cognitive dissonance of knowing someone doesn't believe, and trying to rationalize that somehow, to cram that non-belief into their worldview so it doesn't mess up their own belief.
That he can walk around and say it. With impunity.
With impunity. Really. Aside from being potentially ostracized by family and community for it, you do realize there are 13 countries where atheism is punishable by death. Yes? God's followers certainly do His dirty work for Him.
I don't believe in God. I mean, some of them will do that. I don't believe in you. What is that?
What do you mean, what is that? Which part confuses you? One of us says, that God thing people talk about? Yeah, I don't buy it. Sounds fishy. Which part of that isn't getting through?
And then they say no lightning bolt came down. So really, people will say that. Okay, if there's no God, strike me down right now. Just strike me down, God. If you're really there, do it. God's merciful.
Okay, so because nothing happened, God is real. This is being set up as a no-lose proposition. If God smites you, he's real. If he doesn't, he's still real, but he's merciful. The possibility that he might not exist at all isn't allowed for as a possible outcome. Okay, if God is so merciful, have him heal an amputee. Come on, God, grow this guy's limb back right in front of my eyes, in your mercy. Still doesn't happen. Where's your merciful God now? Does he work in mysterious ways? You've made your claim unfalsifiable, which means you're being dishonest.
I mean, Sidi Ahmed Zarruq said for him, one of the biggest proofs of God was sailors. Because he said that they're some of the worst people on the planet. And he said, and yet they can safely cross an ocean.
Which has nothing at all to do with their skill, knowledge, and ability, and the same for the shipwrights who design and build their crafts. No. Sailors survive their voyages because of God, and for no other reason. Without God, they'd all get shipwrecked and drown. Apparently. Come on. Bullshit. And frankly, disrespectful to sailors.
No offense to any sailors.
Too late. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please, think.
Even YouTubers need Ferraris. Please donate on Patreon.
You've got two choices. You can rate this video and share it everywhere across social media, or I can send my minions after you. Choose wisely.